Today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite parts about my job. I'm a trained nurse, and one of the things that I enjoy the most by being the trained nurse is actually being a part of educating new nurses, which is very inspiring. The first part of it is that you know that you're going to get some students soon. So then you kind of up your game, you get more conscious about things, so it's really good for you in the way that if you work too long in a job, you often get stale, you get in a rut, you do the things that you always do. But when we're getting new students, you kind of up your game, and I've been sloppy on certain parts of my game, so to speak. Anyway, I always really enjoyed having students. I think it is very giving and challenging to influence younger minds. It's something happens with old age, I think. We all seen it. Older guys giving you advice on some sort, and they seem to be smiling about it. You should put money in funds, and it has come to me as well. I do notice that I enjoy giving people advice, and I can tell you that my advice are heartfelt and sincere. I really want them to follow my advice, and I think it's good advice. I wouldn't have said it otherwise. So that happens to pretty much all men when they get to a certain age. It's like we want to inspire our next generation or something like that. Anyway, when you have this practical part of your education, and I'm like the first obstacle. I am one of those teachers that guide you through the first practical part. So it's a great responsibility, because if you're not fit for the job, you should be able to weed them out early in their education before they get all these student loans and waste all this time, telling someone that they haven't got the right attributes to become a nurse at year 3 or 4. That is a horrible thing. So it's a great responsibility. My favorite part about it, except for teaching younger people, is actually that I think I've become pretty good at it. And I do have some things that I do pretty much to all students. And I do have a tendency to have an individual approach to it. So the school tells you some things. Well, they give you a big checklist over certain things that you as a student should be doing, and what your goals should be, and what level they expect you to be at. So that's what the school gives you that. Personally, I don't really care too much about that part. This is what I tell them in general, and I mean this. You really only need 2 things to become a nurse. You have to be caring, in some different ways of caring, by the way. We're not all the same, but be able to care about people and be hardworking. The rest of it, we can teach you. It's not brain surgery. In general, as long as you're doing the best you can and you treat people right, we'll get you through this. When people flunk, it's usually because they're immature in some way, usually. And that manifests itself by we finding a weakness, and we tell them, you should improve that part of your how you behave or how you treat people, or this is a flaw in you, or you're just a slob, something like that. And if you can't improve that part, and you, for example, go at the teacher and say, no, you're wrong, you're kind of flunking yourself. The thing is that the teacher doesn't always have to be right. You have to show that you're capable of taking instructions and improving certain elements of yourself. So that's actually part of the training. So the way I go forth, I always tell people that as long as you're behave properly, you're caring and such, and work hard, we will probably get you through this. And the first thing I do is try to establish a safe learning environment. And I make it pretty clear that I'm not after getting them. I just want them to be better when they leave my protection or guidance, whatever you call it. They're better than they was before. That's all I'm really interested in. And then I tell them that if they're going to make mistakes, it's better that they make mistakes in front of me, because then we can weed them out. And we all make mistakes. You're working with humans. There's a theoretical idea how to help someone perfectly, but in practicality it's very difficult, because human beings there's always something different about everybody. So that's it about that. So right now I feel kind of inspired professionally. You know, when you have a job, sometimes you do your thing and it's just work. But when students come, I actually really enjoy it. Even though, as a guide, there's a lot of little traps. Since I'm a nurse, there's a lot of, most students are then female, so as a human being you will fall for flattery. Not flirting, but flattery. So it can be weak and then, oh, you're so good, and things like that. It's very easy to fall for that. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's good to give each other compliments. I give my students compliments when they're doing good and I think that they're on the right path. There's no problem with that. But if I don't give them something to improve, I feel that I failed as a teacher. But still, back to the flattery part. You cannot make it personal. Never, as a guide. Even if it's a person that does not, you don't feel their vibe or the bad sense of humor, or there's something about them that annoys you. Never take that personal. Your assignment is still the same. Try to make them as good as they can possibly be. You can even tell them that. I say that there's something about you that makes it difficult for me to connect with you, to be honest. But I do see that you try hard and you treat people good. So I got no problems with you. You can tell that, and that is respected. Honesty is your shield. A line that I always tell my students as well. Be honest. There's a lot to gain from that, and very little to lose, to be honest. Abe Lincoln said, no, was it Abe Lincoln? No. He said Tom Sawyer, dude. Anyway, if you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. And there's a lot of things to remember in this profession, so it's a big advantage. You should just be honest. Be honest with what you're not an expert about. I'm really good with treating a wound and those procedures, but I'm not that good about the theoretical part when it comes to the local government rules, for example. Be honest about it. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Nobody knows everything. But in general, as a nurse, you should be a person that is capable about a lot of different things. That's part of it. So when it comes to the guide part, I'd say that be careful about too much flattery, and I'd say that do not be too quick to judge those that you don't get along with immediately, and that goes also within the group, as the students rarely go alone. They're like quite a little bunch or a little small group, from 2 or 3 up to 10, and there's a different setup. Usually one educated nurse have like 2 or 3 students that they're like in charge of, or guides for, I don't know what the expression is in other countries. Anyways, the principle is still the same. Do not be so quick to judge, even though you have a problem with connecting with them. There's usually something there. They have chosen this education for some reason. So give them a fair shot. Is there anything else I'd like to add to that? No, I think that's enough for today. So that's me being professionally inspired.